I'll be quick. I want to welcome the St. Louis crowd. St. Louis is my city. I was born and grew up here. And went to school and college in St. Louis. So it's a great city, and I welcome you all. This is the heart of America, and we're happy to welcome a really great American today. I'll tell you about him in a minute. But I want you to meet Donald Trump. He's I had the chance to meet with him a couple of minutes ago, and I asked him to stand by the Republican platform because we have the best conservative platform we've ever had, and he endorses it. He will stand by it. He is a real conservative, and I ask you to support him. I worked on the platform committee so many times, and I think this is our best one, and we want to maintain it. And it's a great statement for conservatives, and it calls for military superiority. No, Obama doesn't want us to be superior. He wants to be like everybody else. And I am confident that Donald Trump will appoint judges like Judge Scalia. That's what he wants. So, and I think he has the courage and the energy. You don't have to have energy for that job. in order to bring some changes and to do what the grassroots want him to do. Because this is a grassroots uprising. We've been following the leaders for so long. I was on the floor of the convention when the great Senator Everett Dirksen talked about the kingmakers and said, "We've followed you before and you led us down the road to defeat. But now we've got a guy who's going to lead us to victory." And it's great that he has the endorsement of the best guy in Congress, who's Senator Jeff Sessions, who knows all about the immigration issue. Donald Trump is the one who has made immigration the big issue that it really is. Because Obama's trying to change our country. He's trying to fundamentally transform our country. And we don't want him to do it. They're ready for him now. This year, we have the candidate who really will give us a choice, not an echo. So please give a big St. Louis welcome to Donald J. Trump.
Thank you, Linda. So, I know, did anybody watch the debate last night? Oh, they are getting ratings on these debates. You know, those debates used to die. They used to die. They were called the ratings graveyard. They would die, and it was sad. But now they're called, you know what? They called me, one of the big networks called on the way out, we'd like to do another debate. You know, they want to do it for themselves. They don't want to do it for us. And they want to have 2 more debates. I said, maybe let's just put the debates away. We've done just fine. But we've had a good time doing them, and it's been, I guess it's been very helpful because we're leading in every single poll, so I think that's... We won't disappoint you. I tell you, we won't disappoint you. We are going to do a job. Speaking of that, by the way, I will disappoint you if you don't get out on Tuesday and vote, because it won't happen, okay? So we really need it. Missouri. Good football teams. Those college teams are good, huh? What are you going to do this year? I think pretty good stuff, huh? Came from nowhere. I'll tell you what, good. Maybe I'll have to get... You vote a big one for me, I'm coming to one of those games, okay? Yeah, Tuesday. On Tuesday, we have to get out and vote, folks. Without that, it's all not going to happen. Sit down. We'll be here for a while. We got plenty of time. We've got a lot of time. We've got a lot of time. I want to thank you for being here. You know, outside, I don't know if you know, so maybe somebody wants to give up their seat because they're kind. But outside, there are thousands and thousands of people trying to get in. And we have a second hall, which is filled. And I can only say I wish we could have had a larger place, but this is beautiful, I will say that. I want to thank Phyllis. She's a great lady. This is a great, great lady. Very exceptional. Very, very exceptional. So, thank you. Thank you. I love you too. I love you too. Really do. Really do. Thank you. See, this doesn't get talked about in the press. The love that's in these rooms. I mean, it's love. You know, they talk about a protest or something. They don't talk about what's really happening in these forums and these rooms and these stadiums. They don't talk about the love. The love, the people in this country are incredible people. They want to take it back. They're going to take it back. We're going to fix this country. It's going to be properly done. And you know, a couple of incidents you saw where there's a lot of enthusiasm, folks, a lot of enthusiasm. And frankly, you know, not angry people, we're not angry people. I'm not an angry person, you're not angry. But we do get angry when we see the stupidity with which our country is run and how it's being destroyed. Stupidity. When we look at the Iran deal, where we give a terror nation $150 billion, they're spending it everywhere but us. I don't know if you know, they've gone out, they've ordered missiles from Russia. Didn't know they were supposed to be ordering missiles. They ordered missiles from Russia. They tested missiles last week, and everyone was surprised. I mean, I assume they're in default of their agreement. We don't call anybody in default. John Kerry should have walked 4 times out of those meetings. Should have walked 4 times. And he would have either had no deal, which would have been better than this, or he would have had a good deal. But he should have walked 4 times out of those meetings. Should have started out the first day with a walk when they wouldn't give our prisoners back, because you don't get them back the way we got them. You get them back before you start negotiating, folks. But there's a great anger, and there's a great, you know, just hostility toward the people that are running our nation. And they're running it into the ground. And if we had another 4 years of essentially Barack Obama through Hillary, do you ever notice the way she's so nice now? You ever notice? No. You ever notice, oh yes, the president's right about this, he's right about that, he's right about this. You know, she was never that way to him. She never liked him, and he never liked her. And now all of a sudden, everything he's doing is fine. Oh, it's wonderful. He's the greatest president. Oh, he wants that. He wants Keystone. He doesn't want Keystone. Oh, he doesn't want it. Well, then I don't want it either. Oh, do you ever notice? Well, you know why she's doing that, don't you? Oh, is she being honest? I don't know if she's leading a good life right now. Is she being nice? Everything is perfect. The president likes it. I love the president, she says. You know, she really loves him. She didn't like him. She didn't like him before. She didn't like him much before. They fought like crazy. He said things about Bill. You know that, right? And Bill has never forgotten it. And all of a sudden she's saying he's the greatest thing that ever happened. Well, she's got to live with those statements because he is destroying this country, and we're going to win based on the fact that she is becoming him. It's just not going to happen, folks. We're not going to let it happen. We're not going to let it happen. So, you know, when I originally started on June 15th, June 16th, I said, we're going to do it. I didn't want to do it. I don't want to do this. You think this is easy? It's not easy, although I will say, I love doing it in one way. It's like a love fest. Is this a love fest? I tell the story of a friend of mine who's a very, very, very successful guy. We'll have him probably handling one of the mid-countries, okay? He's good, but I have bigger killers. I have people that are so good for handling China, Japan, Mexico. Oh, they're so good. Don't we want our best? Don't we want our best? But he's a very good guy, very successful guy, very smart, good negotiator. He said to me, I can't believe that you speak in front of 25, 30,000 people. I said, I do. How is it possible? Then he came to me to Dallas. We had the Dallas arena, you know, where the Mavericks play. Mark Cuban's team, and are they doing well? I think they're doing well. But we had the arena, and it was packed. And it was 21,000 people, maybe more. And so I'm talking, and it was like an amazing day. The place was going crazy, it was going wild. And he came to me and said, how do you do that? And I said to him, I never even thought of it. He said, it must be really hard. He said, if I have to speak in front of 20 people, it's like a big deal. And I said, you know what? There is such love in these arenas, in these places that we go. It's true. And it's easy to do. It's actually easy. It's actually easy to do, and I meant it, you know, I really mean it. And he didn't understand it because he said, you know, how is it possible? But it's true. There is such love in the arena, and I don't have teleprompters, right? I don't have teleprompters. And I don't have a speech that you read. And the nice part about doing it the way I do it, number one, it's more exciting. Number two, you're always prone to make a mistake every once in a while, which is always exciting also. So you have a little bit more pressure, which is good. It's good for the adrenaline. But you don't have the teleprompters. I can talk about today's news. I can talk about stuff that happened an hour ago driving over here. I can tell that. We can tell all sorts of things, and we can do things that you can't do when you're reading off a teleprompter. I was watching Hillary Clinton 2 days ago, reading off the biggest teleprompters I've ever seen. And it was outside, and I've never seen this. They were like painted black on the back. On the back, they were painted. they're singles. There's very few of them, but they're singles, and they go into one location. There'll be some at other locations, and they'll scream a little bit. We'll have to stop for a couple of minutes. We'll have a good time. We'll have a good time. And you know, I always say, the cameras now, look at all those cameras back there. Who has that? Look at all those red lights. That means you're on live television. Hello, cameras. You know, I always say I love that because, you know, we don't want to have too much disturbance, but I like it because the only time the cameras show how many people are there, and they can't see up there. Go ahead, let me hear it up there. Let me hear it. It's a big place. But the only time they show these massive crowds is when they think there's trouble. Because trouble means, oh, that's bad for Trump. So when, I love you too, even though you've got a bad seat up there, wow. So you'll see, and you'll find out they're singles. It's a single here, a single there. It adds up to like 4 people, but you know, they make a big deal. Oh, the riots. There are no riots. And I want to thank the police. The police do a great job. Thank you very much. So, last night on the debate, I don't quite get this. I got these phenomenal reviews, right? Because I was like, nice. But isn't the other more like exciting? Don't we like the other better? I won all of the debate polls. They say, you know, debate. And, you know, by the way, Ted Cruz is a great debater. But I always say he can debate, but he can't talk. Right? He can't talk. But last night was very civil. There was something about it. And I said to myself, I'm not going to talk about lying Ted. Because, ooh, does he lie? He lies. I'm not going to mention the fact that Governor Kasich, you know the story, he disappeared. He lived in New Hampshire. I mean, he lived there. And he said he's going to win New Hampshire. I won in a landslide. He left Ohio. He left Ohio. He then lived, where did he live? South Carolina. And he was going to win South Carolina. And then all of a sudden that didn't work out. Then Michigan, his neighboring state, he's going to win Michigan. And he literally moved to Michigan. And he lost. I won in a landslide, right? But Ohio hit oil. Ohio hit oil. And it made a difference. Now the problem with Ohio is the oil is way down, and they've lifted up their budgets 36%, the most in the United States, which is a problem. And the governor, I call him the governor, and I like him. But he's in favor of the the Trans-Pacific Partnership, the TPP. It's a disaster. Folks, it's a disaster. You have a massive number of countries, 12 at this moment, and it's going to be increased. Because you know who's lurking in the background of that deal? China. China wants to get in that deal. And they're not in it yet, but they want to get in it. And they want to reap those benefits. It is the dumbest deal. It doesn't talk about monetary manipulation, devaluation of their currency, etc. Doesn't discuss that. All of these countries are lumped in. It's thousands of pages. I heard like 7,000 or 8,000 pages long. Nobody's read it, except for the other countries. They've read it. We haven't read it. The other countries read it. You know, those countries, they read it. We don't read it. And it will be a disaster, I can tell you, because I'm going to be going to Ohio very soon, a place that I love. I've lived there. I did jobs there. When I was young, I did a job with my father called Swifted Village. I bought it, fixed it, and sold it. And it was like an early experience for good for the rest of the round, or in baseball, you get a hit. Well, that was early for me, and it was a great hit for me. And I felt, gave me almost, you could say, gave you extra confidence to go on with your life. But you can't do and this pertains to every place. You can't do that deal. That deal's a disaster. And today in the New York Times and in the Wall Street Journal, they have articles that Trump is totally changing what's happening with respect to our attitude on trade. Now, I like trade, and I'm a free trader. You know, a lot of these very conservative people, of which I'm more conservative than they are in many ways, but on trade, I don't quite qualify. I am a free trader. And free trading is good. We're all free traders. But it's got to be reasonable. It's got to be fair. It's got to be smart, right? So, with China this year, we'll lose $505 billion for the privilege of trading with them, right? So then I hear, no, think about it. 505. By the way, with Mexico, $58 billion we're going to lose. And we will build the wall, folks. We will. With Mexico, $58 billion, we lose with trade. What are we doing? So you almost say, what are you doing? And then the politicians up here say, you can't get Mexico to build the wall. Do you ever notice, even last night, Cruz was saying, and actually Marco didn't say it, but Cruz was saying about the wall. Now it's like routine. He said, God, we're going to do this, we're going to build the wall. Where did that come from? Where did it come from? You know, these guys, they say, oh, Trump with the wall, forget the wall. Now they're all saying, well, and they do it so like, you know, they're politicians, they have good shtick. They do it nice and lightly. We're going to do this, we're going to do that, we'll build a wall, very important to build a wall, and on to the next subject. You know, they're a little bit. Actually, my wife was watching television and about a week ago, and you know, you watch it and you see Melania, she'll be a great first lady. I reckon. Come here? Because Ted Cruz just said he's going to build the wall. This was like a week ago. I said, no way. And I said, and they say it so innocently. And you know the problem in politics? You don't get any credit for it, right? Like when I said, take the oil, leaving Iraq, take the oil. Folks, hurting this country. Big mouth.
Take him down.
They get him out. Go home to mommy. You know, they're singles because they don't have very many people with them, because the people are with us. So they do different places. They don't have many people. So anyway, so on the wall, so what happens is the politicians, who are all taken care of by the special interests, by the way, they're all taken care of by the special interests. So the politicians come up and they say, you'll never get the wall built. Thank you, officer. And by the way, for the press, the officers are being very gentle. See, nowadays we have to say that, right? We have to be politically correct. Oh, please don't hurt them. They're allowed to get up and interrupt us horribly. And we have to be very, very gentle, very gentle. They can swing, they can hit people, but if we hit them back, it's a terrible, terrible thing. They can get up, and when they're being whisked out, they can raise their bad finger up in the air and drive people, which is very unfair. And some people get very angry at that because you know what that represents. And then when they get a little bit overly angry, they're in trouble. The guy that raised his finger, no, that's no problem. That's no problem. So we're going to be nice and gentle with everybody. I tell all the officers, I have for a while. You know, the first time we had a rally, the first time we had a protest in one of the first rallies, it was very interesting because the guy was really bad. He was really bad. He was rough, tough, and he was swinging, and he had a voice like Luciano Pavarotti. This guy had, I could have taken this guy, with my guidance as manager, I would have made him an opera singer. He was so loud. I didn't mind the voice, but he was a bad guy. He was swinging and hitting people, and guess what? The people in the area hit back. They really hit back, right? The next day, I read how bad these people were, how rough they were, how tough they were, and the guy was really doing damage. You know, so what do you do? And what's happened is, and that day I said, get him out of here, I want him out of here now. The press killed me, they said he was too tough. The next day I said, you know, I got killed on this thing with this guy, this bad guy. It wasn't like a regular, we had a couple yesterday, protesters, they were so meek and mild. A young girl stands up, she goes, we want to have. Nobody knows. What? I go, yeah. I said, get out of here. She turned around and ran. Sure. That's the kind of protester we love. But it is true. So the first time I was rough, I said, get him out of here. Get him out now. Take him out. Okay. I got killed in the press. The next day, because I got killed, I said the next day, I had another one protester, and I said, very gentle, please don't hurt him, don't touch him, be very nice. I'm trying to cater to the press, right? Don't hurt him, no, be easy. He was swinging his fists and stuff. Be easy, please. Okay, next day they said, something happened to Trump, he's getting weak. And to me, that was much worse than the first day. I'd rather be too strong than too weak. Okay? Folks, we're winning a lot. Wasn't that funny last night when Cruz said, I'm the only one that can beat Donald Trump. I have demonstrated that I can beat him. I won 5 states. And I said, could I speak? And I said, but I won 13 states.
Yeah!
And Lion Ted just looked at me like this, right? Oh, it's the weirdest thing. You know, and he goes around saying, he won 5, he's the only one that can beat because he won 5. But he doesn't explain that I'm winning almost all of them. So anyway, we'll keep it going. We have to win Missouri, that's what I have to win. I think we're going to do well. I think we're going to do well everywhere. Because you know what's going on? This is a movement, folks. This is a movement. We're tired of the garbage. We're tired of the garbage. Now get him out of here. Get him out. Get him out. Young kids, two young kids. Young spoiled kids. Here. They are all writing about us, folks, and they're saying there's nothing like a Trump rally. There is nothing. There is nothing. And you know, terrible. just so you know. These are not good. And I heard this was going to happen, and they said, Mr. Trump, would you like to cancel? I said, absolutely not. These are not good people. These are not the people that made our country great. But we're going to make it great again. But these are not the people. These are the people that are destroying our country.
Take them out!
Will you get them out?
Yeah!
Come on, let's go. Get them out. How about letting some people in to take their seats? A lot of people standing there. Let some good people in to take their seats. And nobody's being hurt, press. Nobody's being hurt. Very rude. Did they get him out?
Get them out!
Did they get him out?
No!
Where are the police? Come on, police, get him out. Let's go.
Yeah!
Come on.
Get them out!
Come on, let's get him out. Troublemakers, just troublemakers. Come on, get him out, police, please. Let's go.
Yeah!
See, what they don't realize is they really help us realize how important we are and how important it is what we're doing. They add nothing. They add nothing, believe me. They add nothing. And there'll be a couple of others jump up pretty soon. But we just go through it and let's do it. Okay, I was told, I can't believe Missouri, I can't believe this. I can't believe it. Okay, thank you. Thank you. Doesn't matter. Honestly, can I be honest with you? It adds to the flavor.
Yeah!
I mean, isn't this better than listening to a long, boring speech?
Yeah!
You can hear that from the other candidates. They don't say anything anyway. to hurt each other anymore, right? And they're being politically correct the way they take them out. So it takes a little bit longer. And honestly, protesters, they realize it. They realize that there are no consequences to protesting anymore. There used to be consequences. There are none anymore. So that's it. All right, thank you very much. Are they gone? Yeah, they're gone. Our country has to toughen up, folks. We have to toughen up. These people are bringing us down. Remember that. They're bringing us down. No reason for it.
Get him out of here!
These people are so bad for our country, you have no idea, folks. You have no idea. They contribute nothing. Nothing. And look at the police. They take their lives in their hands. All right, yep, get them out. Thank you. Are they out? Are they out?
Yeah!
What a detriment. What a detriment. All right. Thank you. Thank you. That right corner is interesting. That's an interesting corner. Okay, thank you. We better get our country going, folks, because that's the kind of stuff, it's taking us down. It's taking us down fast. There has to be some decorum. There has to be some law and order in our country. Okay? There has to be some. The hatred in this country is incredible. The divisiveness is incredible. And we're going to end it. We're going to do things. We're going to end it. Can't be like this. Just can't be like this. You have it all over. You have it all over. But we got to do something because you just can't. You know, you go on like this. These are people. I want to talk to them. I'd love to meet those people for 10 minutes. What do we want? Think of it. What do we want? We want homes, we want education, we want good borders, we want a strong military, we want a good job. Our jobs are being taken away. What do we want? And they can't want anything more. They can't want anything more. We want good trade deals. We don't want to lose hundreds of billions of dollars a year for the sake of trade. What does it mean, trade? I want trade where we make money, we don't lose money. We lose our jobs, we lose our factories, and then on top of it, we have wackos like this going for 10 minutes. It's really terrible. It's really terrible. And then if you're a little bit rough, you see the abuse the police were taking back there? They were abused. I mean, the police should be suing them. It shouldn't be the other way around. And these people in the media, the most dishonest human beings on earth, they are the worst. So what they'll do is they'll take 10 minutes worth of clips of that. And if one policeman accidentally moves a finger and touches this wise guy, it's like, oh, that's the worst thing I've ever seen. And yet the police are being abused for 10 minutes, okay? We better toughen up, we better smarten up, and we better stop with this political correctness because it's driving us down the tube. And as I said, I was told it was going to happen here because you have people, great people. I know so many people from this area, great people. But you have people that aren't so great. Get them out. Watch the same guy trying to come back, right? See that? In the old days, they didn't come back, I can tell you that. They were gone. They were taken out, they were gone. But I have to say, honestly, seriously, this is more exciting than having like a speech. And we'll still have the same speech, it just takes a little bit longer, you know. So look, one of the reasons it would be so nice. I won't say what's on my mind, folks. I won't say it. I refuse to say it. I'm a nice person. I refuse to say it. So, one of the reasons this whole movement, and it is a movement, it's a movement, it's been covered on Time magazine covers many, many times now. It is a movement like they say they've never seen before in the history of our country. That's the movement we're talking about. That's the movement where in the primaries, more people have shown up for primary votes than ever before in the history of the Republican Party, and nobody's ever seen anything like it. And I mean by millions and millions of additional people. And they're coming from the Democrats. They're coming from people who have never voted before. They've never voted. And they're coming from independents, but they're coming. And in South Carolina, no matter where we go, we had numbers 102% more than 4 years ago. We have numbers, I guess it averages 65% more, but that represents many millions of people. And if the Republican so-called establishment is smart, they will embrace it, because there's no way we can lose. There's no way we can lose. There's no way we lose. And I'm beating Hillary in the polls, but in certain polls, but I will tell you, those polls are not giving us justice, because I'll tell you what, those polls are phony polls when we're not winning every single time. We should be winning every single time. They are not accounting, like the Wall Street Journal in South Carolina did a poll. Now, they haven't liked me, although they're starting to like me a lot more. They have two beautiful stories on the front page today, so I'm liking them a little bit better today. I shouldn't even tell the story. But they came up with this phony poll, and I was winning in South Carolina, and what happened, I was gonna do great, and the day before the election, they came out with a phony poll. I was like 20 points up, all of a sudden, I was 3 points. And it was bad, psychologically bad for everybody. And they came up, Trump's going to win South Carolina. Then all of a sudden they come up with this poll that was very close. They put it on the front page of the Wall Street Journal. Front page. They never do that. They put it on the front page. Then they came up with another national poll the next day where I was way, way down. Then they found out when I won South Carolina in a landslide, it was a phony poll. And they said, how did you get to that poll? Well, we interviewed only very, very, very conservative people. Well, I said, do normal conservatives vote? Do other people vote? Why only that? In other words, it was a phony poll. It's disgusting. NBC Chuck Todd, NBC, Wall Street Journal. No, I never do well in the Wall Street Journal polls. It's set against me. But what they do is they do these things and it's disgraceful. And I'll tell you what, if they accounted for all of these millions of people, don't forget, in the primaries, Hillary Clinton, look, let's face it, she hasn't got the strength, she hasn't got the stamina to be president, that I can tell you. And we have a communist named Bernie Sanders. I mean, give me a break. Now, remember Bernie? When the two people came up, the two ladies, young ladies came up, and they took over his microphone. Do you remember that? That's not happening here, folks. We go down swinging, that's that I can tell you. Remember they came up, and they started screaming at him, and he's making a speech, and he's going, oh, and they're both screaming. Do you remember this? I said, where the hell is our country going? And the audience wanted to hear him, okay? Which I understand, that's why they came. And they're saying, no, we want to hear him, we want to hear him. And these two people came up, and they're screaming into the mic, and then eventually he gave up the mic, and he walked back, and he was listening to them speak. I said, how sad is that? How pathetic is that? I don't know, that might be almost as bad as Hillary with her emails, but not quite, right? So what we've done and what we're doing is we're going to make great deals for this country because we don't win anymore, folks. We don't win. We don't even win here with protesters anymore. When the protesters end up taking over and frankly, I mean, I have to be honest, from my standpoint, it makes it a little bit more exciting. And it gives me time to think about exactly where I want to go next. It's beautiful. It's like intermission. And the guys that are near the event, they see some pretty good stuff. It's better than going and seeing... These guys are great. Oh, that's my group back there. That's a tough group. Hey, you didn't take much of their stuff. I see that there. Oh, my. All right, thank you, fellas. Good, I appreciate it. But was that exciting? You had a good time, right? It was very happy. In fact, they're upset that it's over with. That's what But we don't, as a country, we don't win anymore at all. We don't win with our military. It's really, I mean, it's sad. We can't beat ISIS, right? We can't beat ISIS. We don't win at trade. We lose to everybody at trade. At trade, we lose to everybody. We can't win with health care. Obamacare is a disaster. We're going to repeal it and replace it. It's something great. Less expensive and far better. When you have your plan, you have your doctor, you're going to keep money, you're going to go out and negotiate your own deals with doctors, because otherwise it's going to run away. It's going to be portable, you're going to be able to move it around. I mean, you know, the healthcare savings plans is one great idea. There's so many good ideas. There are so many, you have to get competition. We have to get rid of the lines between the states so that other companies can compete, because right now it's like monopolies in every state. We're going to have great healthcare. And you know the amazing thing? It's going to cost, very amazing, it's going to cost the country less, and it's going to cost the people less. I mean, how good is that? And they're going to be tailor-made plans, they're going to be fantastic plans, but the country and the people, you know, Obamacare, your Obamacare numbers are going up 35, 45, 55%, the premiums. And the deductibles are so high that unless you're close to death, you'll never be able to use it. Is that a correct statement? No, it's so high. So you're paying a fortune and you're never going to be able to use it. It's a disaster. Now in 17, it dies of its own way. Because all the people that they didn't want to have, not that they're bad people, but these are the people that aren't going to make the plan fund out. All of the people that they thought they wouldn't have, they're having. All of the people that can pay for it aren't going in. It's a disaster. So it's a catastrophe that's waiting to happen. By the way, Kasich in Ohio brought Obamacare to Ohio. It's a disaster, okay? And people are very unhappy about it. They're very unhappy about it. So what's going to happen is we're going to have great health care. We're going to bring education to a level that it hasn't been. We're getting rid of Common Core. education. We're going to have it localized. We're going to have our teachers and our parents and all these people that love our students. And we're not going to be guided by a bureaucrat in Washington, D.C. that's more interested in their paycheck and they don't give a damn about Missouri or any place else. So we're going to start winning again. But I'll give it to you on trade because, interestingly, when I first came down on June 16th and I said I'm going to do it, and it looked like the Academy Awards, there were so many, look at all those cameras back there still. But they do follow us, folks. They do follow us. But with all of that, and I came down and I said, okay, and I gave the speech and I talked about illegal immigration. And boy, did we have a thunderstorm. Is that right? Rush Limbaugh was all over the place saying he has suffered the greatest incoming of anybody in history that I've ever seen. I did. Incoming meaning from them. There was never anybody. I was excoriated. I was hit so hard from every angle. And what happened is about 2 weeks later, they started saying, well, maybe he's got a point, it's really bad. And then lots of terrible things happened over the months. You had Kate, beautiful Kate, in San Francisco was shot in the back by an animal that came over 5 times illegally. You had Jamil, whose father's a friend of mine. Jamil was killed, wonderful young boy from Los Angeles, from California. And he was killed, he was shot in the face 3 times by a guy that should have never been in this country. You had the veteran. You had a female, a wonderful woman who was a veteran, 65 years old. She was raped, sodomized, and killed in Los Angeles. And many, many more. Many, many, many more. And people started saying, maybe Trump's right. Maybe Trump's right. I'm right, believe me. And when I won in New Hampshire, I have a special debt of gratitude for the people of New Hampshire because they gave me that first big victory. And it was by a landslide. And I wasn't supposed to win that. You had other people that were supposed to win it, and all of a sudden Trump wins in a landslide. But I go to New Hampshire and you see these beautiful fields and these beautiful roads and trees and everything's so beautiful, and you just don't see it. And I'd go to groups and I'd say, what's your biggest problem in New Hampshire? They'd say, heroin. I said, heroin? It doesn't work out. It doesn't look like it would be their problem. You don't think of New Hampshire and heroin. It's always the first thing. And it's heroin that comes from the southern border and comes up there and they sell it like candy. And their kids are addicted. Their kids are badly addicted. And you have many people addicted now beyond kids. You have people that are elderly that are addicted. And it's a tremendous problem. I said, I'm going to stop it. I'm going to stop it. I promise you I'm going to stop it. And we're going to work to make your youth better, but the easiest thing to do is stop it so that it can't happen. I don't smoke. I have friends that do smoke. It's very, very hard for them to stop. It's very easy for me not to smoke because you don't get caught. You don't get addicted. You don't get whatever it is, okay? So here's the story. So on the southern border, we're going to do something that's so great. Did you see Vicente Fox, the ex-president of Mexico? Did you see the arrogance and the anger that he had toward the United States? So he's being interviewed by CNN, I think, by CNN the other day. And he talked, and he used the F-bomb, right? He used the F-bomb. Can you imagine if I used that word, what would happen? I wouldn't be here right now. I'd be getting ready for the electric chair. This guy was out of control, his anger. Now, he used to say, there'll never be a wall, we won't allow it. Now he said, we'll never pay for the wall. That's a big difference. So far, we're building the wall. But he said, and he's really a very arrogant guy. He said, we will never pay for that blank wall. Now, you know what they do? Yes, we will. You're right. Yes, we will. By the way, you know what the press did? I did this once, not so long. We will never pay for that blank wall. And they beeped me. So everyone thinks I used the word. They say it was terrible. I don't use the word. But they actually went, we will never pay beep. And everyone said, how could you use that word? These people are the worst. I mean, they are the worst. So former President Fox said, we'll never pay for build a wall, blah, blah, blah. Okay, so here's the story. The politicians come up to me. First they say you never build a wall, then they found out it's easy. You know, in China, 2,000 years ago, they built a wall 13,000 miles long. We need 1,000 miles. It's 2,000, but you have natural barriers and lots of good things. So we need 1,000 miles, right? That's so easy for me. Oh, am I good at building? You know, I'm building the old post office in Washington. I'm ahead of budget, it's just, I'm way under budget.